YouTube video, and I'm doing it a little bit different today. For one thing, I'm a little more up close and personal than I sometimes am. But for the other thing, I'm going to do a trumpet mouthpiece. For those of you that remember the jet tones, I was in school in the 70s. Well, actually the 60s and the 70s. And I remember these guys coming out of the marching field with these little dimes that were hollowed out. That's the old joke. But very, very shallow mouthpieces. And a lot of those were jet tones. Maynard Ferguson played on one for a while. Not that he played on a dime hollowed out, concave slightly. But at any rate, this is a jet tone Studio Model B. To my understanding, one of the more famous jet tones made. This is one of the originals by Ratzenberger. A lot of the jet tones that were put out originally were shot blast or a matte silver. This one is not, but nonetheless it is one of the originals. And I just wanted to spend a moment, because I probably won't keep this. It's really not a good fit for me. The diameter is too large. But I just want to be able to remember and share a little bit about my feelings of this mouthpiece. They said Mr. Ratzenberger was a very genial man, very accommodating. If you came in and you wanted one of his, like Studio Model B, but you wanted tighter backbore, he'd work with you on that. I believe this is probably greatly standard. However, if he's making them as to the specs of the person that's in the office, what would standard be? At any rate, one thing I did want to mention, this is just about what I would consider a duo cup mouthpiece, which is really 2 cups. And I'll tell you why. When you initially, and I'm sorry, I just finished knitting, and just kidding, I'm not a knitter, but great little tool here. You've got a rim here, and the B, C, whatever you've got for the title of your mouthpiece, that's a reference to how flat or rounded the mouthpiece is my understanding. Now, once you get beyond the rim of this mouthpiece, you've got a very, very shallow cup. I'm really down at the cup here, and it's quite shallow. And I know this camera probably doesn't show it well. At an angle, I think it's better. Then you hit a little ridge here. You hit this ridge, and then you get into what is quite an enlarged throat. My feeling with mouthpieces is it doesn't really matter how tight the backbore is. Well, it does. But if you've got a larger throat entry, it makes the mouthpiece much more manageable. Now, I've got a Reeves here. It is Reeves 41C. And I want you to notice the difference of the throat. This is the jet tone. See how much larger the throat is? And actually, the backbore of the Reeves is smaller. But the throat is quite a bit tighter on the Reeves. The jet tone has the larger throat. Now put them at an angle. You can see what I'm talking about there. Again, this is the Reeves, and this is the jet tone. Fascinating mouthpiece. I wish I played a larger diameter. And of course, the curvature of the rim is unique on these two. I do believe that it's quite a bit more elevated near the middle than a lot of mouthpieces. So even though I would say this is about the diameter of a Bach 3C, which is probably the most common for advanced trumpeters, it does have a different feel to it. Now I'm going to do what I should not do. I enjoy talking, but when it comes to playing, that's where my challenges are. But I'm going to try and give you an idea. Of course, these jet tones, the ones that are really super shallow, tight throat, whatever that might be, those are definitely going to be more lead type. I think you would call this a commercial mouthpiece, although it could be used for lead. But certainly the commercial application, it gets a great, brilliant cutting tone. And give me just a second to get my lips warmed up, and then we'll give you just a moment on see what the sound is like. Okay, see if you recognize this little melody. If you were around when the original Ratzenbergers were being made, you just might remember that. That has got to be from the 70s, probably 75, 76. It's one of the first Toyota commercials I can remember. Get your hands on a Toyota and you'll never, excuse me, let go. Boy, I'm as bad a singer as I am a trumpet player. But at any rate, you've got here a jet tone. This is the Studio Model B. In just a moment, I'm going to try and do one on the Symphony Model C. Two great original Ratzenberger made jet tones that we've got. Hope you've enjoyed this. Have a great day.